The Printing Press by Michael Revell. The importance of printing. The printing press was a revolutionary invention that broke through the frontier of writing, allowing even the average man to become educated and knowledgeable. All other previous forms of writing were too slow and inefficient to print enough books for the Commonwealth. The creation of the printing press changed all that. How it began. Before we had the printing press, we had two completely different systems designed for printing: manuscripts and the woodblock press. Two main pre-printing press methods of printing: manuscripts and woodblock prints. Manuscripts. Manuscripts are prints written on a treated animal skin called vellum, with a kind of colored ink on a quill pen. Then they were bound with lace and leather to create a cover that protected the manuscripts. Manuscripts were popular between the 12th and 16th centuries, before the woodblock press was spread to the Western world. They were expensive, so only the wealthy could own them. Most famous manuscripts. The Book of Darrow, the oldest known copy of the Gospels, along with one of the oldest manuscripts to use gold script. It was small enough to fit in the bags of early Christians without being caught. Codex Amiatinus, the oldest version of St. Jerome's Vulgate Bible. It was written in Britain and is full of complete pictures called miniatures. Lindisfarne Gospels, written in a small monastery on an island off the coast of Britain. It was written in honor of the monastery's most famous member, St. Cuthbert. It was dedicated to the glory of God. The Book of Kells. The origin of this manuscript is debated, but it currently resides in Ireland. It is considered by some to be the greatest manuscript of any era, with extreme details in the decorations and illumination. It is a collection of the Gospels containing the life of Jesus. The woodblock press. The woodblock press, designed and used around the 8th century by China and Japan for the writing of ancient Buddhist texts, was the primary means of printing and copying until the 18th century. During the Edo period, around the late 17th early 18th century, the woodblock press hit its peak of popularity, meaning that recent developments allowed the creation of the woodblock prints to be easier and made with color. These are now as often used for art as they were for printing words and texts. Most famous woodblock prints. Great Wave off the coast of Kanagawa. Probably the most famous woodblock print. It was created as a part of a series of prints called 36 Views of Mount Fuji. Pure Light Dharani Sutra, the oldest known woodblock print, a small Buddhist scroll, was rediscovered in 1966 at Pulgak-sa Temple in Kyonju. The creation of the printing press. The original printing press. In 1448, Johann Gutenberg created a movable printing press using movable metal types and relief and engraving systems. Being that Johann Gutenberg was a metallurgist and a goldsmith, he managed to use the metals most familiar to him, lead, antimony, and tin, to make over 200 blocks of letters and symbols. How it works. Step 1. Make the arranged types to print ink onto paper. First, he made a punch, which is the desired letter cut into a piece of metal. Then he struck it against a relatively soft copper sheet to make a matrix. Then, a casting mold would be set into the matrix, and an alloy of molten lead, tin, antimony, or bismuth was poured into the casting mold to make the type. Step 2. Making the ink. For the making of medieval manuscripts, the ink tended to be a mixture of charcoal or lampblack with gum arabic and glue. For the printing press to work, however, the ink had to apply easily to the metal and dry quickly. Therefore, Gutenberg made his own ink out of lampblack, linseed oil, walnut oil, turpentine oil, pine resin, cinnabar, and other substances. Step 3. The press. In order to apply the ink from the print to the paper, much pressure had to be applied. Gutenberg based his design off a wine press and made of platen. It was a plate with some up and down movement so that the ink could be applied. Several frames were applied to keep the paper in place and the ink where it was needed, and another was designed to keep the plate in place. Why was it made? Johann Gutenberg was a metallurgist and a goldsmith, as previously stated, who was in serious need of money after losing a lot of money on an attempt to sell metal mirrors. The printing press was an attempt to pay off those debts. A little while after inventing the printing press, Gutenberg gave his business to his partner Johann Fust due to a debt owed to him. The effects of the printing press. The effects of the printing press in general. Everywhere the printing press reached, so did a general increase in overall literacy. There was also an extreme increase in education, since now students could not only listen to lectures, but also read to gain more information at their own pace. Also, for mathematics, engineering, and architecture, symbols and complex diagrams could now be easily replicated and understood. In Europe, immediately after the invention of the printing press, Johann Gutenberg started on a project called the Gutenberg Bibles, where he printed 180 copies of the Bible. The fact that his printing press could print many times faster than any other previous printing method allowed him to fulfill this goal. However, nowadays, only 22 of his Gutenberg Bibles remain. These Gutenberg Bibles allowed even the common family to own their own Bibles. One of the largest consumers of the printing press itself, though, was the Catholic Church. They used them for printing ordinances and anti-Islamic propaganda during the 15th and 16th centuries. Naturally, many people hailed them as a gift from God. By the end of the 15th century, most Western European cities had a printing press, and by the start of the 16th century, there were around 8 million books printed by the printing press. All of this led to an increase in the overall literacy level in Europe, and the middle and lower classes gained an interest in reading as well. This general increase in literacy in household Bibles led to the people forming their own opinions, not all of which aligning to the Church's opinions. This is largely what caused the Protestant Reformation, which undermined the Catholic Church and disrupted Europe's religious culture entirely. All of this upheaval, though, was largely because of Gutenberg's printing press. In the Americas, the first printing press in North America was in modern-day Mexico City. It was established in 1539 by Juan Kronberger. It wasn't until 1638 that a printing press was sent to the British colonies. It wasn't until the early 1800s that the first printing press south of St. Louis was established. In the July of 1836, the first printing press was established in New Mexico. It was made by Adam Ramage in Philadelphia, and was the only printing press in New Mexico for over a decade. Soon after its arrival, it was used for the printing of educational textbooks for schools. Thus, the first book in New Mexico, a Spanish spelling book called Cuaderno de Ortografía, was printed. The press was also used by the Mexican government to make 2 newspapers in Santa Fe, which are printed in the Palace of Governors. It was also used to print the first laws of the territory of New Mexico. In the printing revolution, because of the printing press, printing and printed materials could be mass-produced. Therefore, ideas could be spread faster and across larger tracts of land. Newspapers, pamphlets, posters, cartoons, and other forms of propaganda were more easily made, spreading ideas and innovation across the world. Around the globe, this is called globalization. The modern globalization that we can see so clearly, from the global advancements on the demographic transition model to the spread of technology and more, were caused by the creation of the printing press.